Hello students, a very good morning to all. So in continuation with our unit 2, that is periodic properties, today we'll be discussing about the periodic variation of electronegativity and its effect on the chemical behavior of different compounds. So let's get started. So here we have, let us first know what electronegativity is. Whenever two atoms are bonded together, whenever two similar atoms are bonded together, say we have two hydrogens bonded together, the electrons which they are sharing, that means if it is a covalent bond in between them, and this covalent bond has been formed by sharing of two electrons, and the shared pair of electrons lies exactly midway. So there is no role of electronegativity in case of homonuclear diatomic molecules. But once we talk about covalent bond between heteronuclear diatomic molecules, when such is the case, when the two atoms are different, that is, say, let us take the case of HCl. So here, what happens is the shared pair of electrons cannot lie exactly midway, as both the atoms have different tendency to pull the shared pair of electron, and this tendency of pulling the shared pair of electrons is defined as electronegativity. Therefore, in a covalent molecule, the tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself is called as electronegativity. It is the property of an atom in the bonded state. The bonding which we are talking about is covalent bonding. So it is a property which is defined in the bonded state, and it is a relative quantity. So it doesn't have any unit. It is not an absolute value. It is it is a relative quantity. In the last video, we discussed about the electron gain enthalpy, or we can say electron affinity. Let us first see how electronegativity is different from electron gain enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy is the energy released when an electron is added, when some atom is accepting an electron. But in case of electronegativity, we are talking about just the attraction. So in the last video, we discussed about the variation of electron gain enthalpy, or we can say electron affinity, in the 17th group, that is this group, from fluorine to acetylene. What was happening was, here fluorine, due to its small size, inter-electronic repulsions are there, due to which it electron gain enthalpy of fluorine is lesser than that of chlorine, and this becomes the actual trend instead of the expected trend, where fluorine was expected to have the maximum electron gain enthalpy. But in case of electronegativity, here we are not adding electron to the fluorine, so no such case of repulsion, inter-electronic repulsion, come into play. So electronegativity remains maximum for fluorine, not chlorine. So electron gain enthalpy is maximum for chlorine, due to the reason because here electron is getting added to that atom. But electronegativity is just about attracting. So for attraction, it doesn't have to make room available for the incoming electrons, so that the role of interelectronic repulsion doesn't come into play while we talk about electronegativity. So electronegativity is maximum for fluorine. In fact, fluorine is the most electronegative element present in the whole periodic table. So second difference is, electronegativity is defined for covalently bonded atoms, and electron gain enthalpy is defined for single isolated gaseous atom, as we discussed for both electron gain enthalpy and ionization energy. These are defined for isolated gaseous atoms. Electronegativity is a relative value, while electron gain enthalpy is absolute value. Now let us discuss the factors which govern the electronegativity in the periodic table. First factor is atomic size. As we know that atomic size is decreasing as we move along the period, and it increases as we move along the group. Down the group, atomic size increases. From left to right in the period, it decreases. So electronegativity is inversely proportional to atomic size. As the size is decreasing along the period, So electronegatividity should should increase along the period. So that is why when we move from lithium to fluorine in the second period, there is increase in electronegatividity from lithium to fluorine, and fluorine is the most electronegative element present in the periodic table. Next factor is nuclear charge. With increase in nuclear charge, the capacity of the atom which we are talking about to attract the shared pair of electron, to attract the outer electrons present in the atom or in the periphery, would increase. So that means with increase in nuclear charge, electronegativity should increase. So electronegativity is directly proportional to nuclear charge. Next factor is oxidation state, or we can say charge on cation and anion. Now increase in the charge on cation and anion is different for electronegativity. With increase in charge on cation, that means we are increasing the positive charge on the ion, and we are decreasing the number of electrons. So that means attraction for electrons for that particular species is increasing. If positive charge is increasing, that means electronegativity is increasing. While if negative charge is already there on the species, then it won't attract with that much capacity the outer electrons in comparison to the case it would have attracted if it was neutral. So with increase in negative charge, electronegativity decreases. So that means with increase in positive charge is directly proportional to electronegativity, and negative charge is inversely proportional to electronegativity. Next factor we have is type of hybridization. So type of hybridization also plays a role while deciding about the electronegativity of the molecule which we are, or of the species which we are talking about. So as we know that as we move from left to right, from sp to sp3 hybridization, there is decrease in s character. Here in case of sp, 50% s character is there. In case of sp2, 33% s character is there, and in case of sp3, 25% s character is there. So as we know that s orbitals are penetrated much inside the nucleus, that means therefore more Z effective is there. So that leads to more electronegativity. So more the S character, more is the electronegativity. So that means the amount of S character increases, electronegativity increases. So S character is directly proportional to electronegativity. Next we have is the nature of substituents. Say we're talking about the electronegativity of carbon. Here is an example for the case that we're discussing about nature of substituents present. Here on carbon, 3 substituents are there in each carbon. First is having 3 hydrogens, second is having 3 chlorines, and third one is having 3 fluorines. So what is happening here? We can see that electronegativity of these substituents is increasing as we are moving down this order. Hydrogen is least electronegative out of these, then comes on the second number comes chlorine, then fluorine is the most electronegative element as we have already discussed. So here electronegativity is increasing for the substituents. So with increase in electronegativity of the substituents, the electronegativity of the central atom also increases for the other groups. Say if it is bonded here to some other atom, say I say it is bonded to L, then electronegativity of carbon which is bonded to L and is further attached to 3 fluorine is more in comparison to this carbon which is bonded to 3 hydrogens and is also bonded to L. So the electron pair present in this bond where carbon, this bond, that is C and L bond, here the shared pair will lie towards, for if we compare first one and the last one, then for out of these the shared pair of electron will lie more towards carbon in this case, as it is having more electronegative substituents attached to it. So in general, variation in period and group in case of periodic table, we have for period, as we move from left to right, atomic size is decreasing, Z effective is increasing. That means electronegatividity is increasing. And in case of group, as we move from top to bottom, atomic size is increasing, Z effective is decreasing, and electronegatividity decreases. So the variation of, we have studied three periodic properties, that is ionization energy, electron affinity, and third one is electron negativity, which we are discussing right now. So all the three periodic properties have same variation in period and group. General variation is same, that all the three properties increases as we move from left to right in the period and decreases as we move from top to bottom in the group. Next part, we have different methods proposed for electronegatividity scale. Now electronegatividity cannot be measured directly. There is a scale for the measurement of electronegatividity because of its relative nature. As electronegatividity doesn't have any absolute values, so scales were proposed for the measurement of electronegatividity. Relative measurement of electronegatividity was done. So different scientists were involved in the measurement of electronegatividity. First attempt for the electronegatividity measurement for the proposal of electronegatividity scale was done by Pauling, and he called his scale as Pauling scale. It was around in 1932. So he based his scale on the bond energy values. According to him, if uh, we are talking about two covalently bonded molecules, that is A and B, the bond energy of AB bond should be equal to the geometric mean, the under root of the product of bond energy of AA and bond energy of BB. But for this, further experimentally, when he tried to look at this thing experimentally, he found that EAB was found to be more than the geometric mean as shown above. So this was due to some introduction of some ionic character in the covalent bond between AB. This ionic character has been introduced due to electronegativity difference. Because there was electronegativity difference between A and B, so there was the introduction of ionic character in the covalent bond, due to which this geometric mean doesn't come out to be equal to this. This energy was always greater than this. So difference in the geometric mean and the bond energy of EAB was calculated, and it was represented as delta E, and this difference has emerged because of resonance between the AB covalent bond and AB ionic bond. So this is also known as ionic resonance energy. This energy, which we are representing as difference between the bond energy of AB and geometric mean of these two bond energies, is also called as ionic resonance energy. And this ionic resonance energy was further related with the electronegatividity difference between the two bonded atoms which are having different electronegativities. As through this equation was given by Pauling to relate the electronegatividity difference between the two atoms. So he related the mod of this electronegatividity difference to the difference in geometric mean and actual bond energy of AB. As per this equation, this is equal to 0.18 under root of delta E, where energy was always expressed in the form of kilocalories per mole. So based upon this equation, Pauling assigned a random value, that is a value of 4, to the most electronegative element of the periodic table, that is fluorine. So he assigned the value of 4 to fluorine, and with this value he found all the corresponding values of different elements of the periodic table. Electronegativity of different elements were calculated based upon this equation in reference to the most electronegative element, that is fluorine, for which he took the random value of 4. So based upon this, these are the some important elements for which electronegativity values are to be memorized, as the Pauling scale is the one which is most acceptable. So most of the questions are asked which are based upon electronegativity are asked from these elements, and the values of electronegativity of these elements are to be memorized. So the values of electronegativity decreases in the order. First highest is fluorine, that is 4, which is having the value of electronegativity as 4. Then comes oxygen with 3.5. Then comes nitrogen, which is having the electronegativity value of 3. Then comes chlorine, which is also having the value of 3. Here we have put some elements in the boxes, or we can say rectangles, that represents these. The elements present in single box are having same electronegativity value. Then comes bromine with electronegativity value of 2.8, iodine is having 2.5, sulfur is 2.5, carbon is 2.5. These three are have been put in single box, so these are having electronegativity value of 2.5 for all. And then comes phosphorus and hydrogen with 2.1 electronegative. So this sequence we can learn through a mnemonic, that here FON represents phone, that means cell phone. FON, phone, colors, bright. So we can memorize it as, after adjusting phone's colors and brightness, I successfully clicked photographs. After adjusting phone, color and brightness, I successfully clicked, C for clicked, photographs. After adjusting phone, colors and brightness, I stands for iodine, successfully for sulfur, clicked, C for carbon, clicked, photographs, that is pH. So this is the decreasing order of electronegativity as we move from fluorine to hydrogen. Fluorine is having maximum electronegativity of 4 and hydrogen is having least electronegativity of 2.1, which is equal to phosphorus. So this way you can easily learn the electronegativity sequence, and this is a very important sequence to be memorized as far as your examination is concerned and as far as your competitive exams are concerned. So next is, although Pauling scale is widely acceptable, but disadvantage of the Pauling scale was that bond energies, as this scale is based upon the bond energies, so bond energies of many elements, many compounds were not known with good accuracy. So scientists were continuously involved in the generation of some different scales for the measurement of electronegativity. So next came the scale by Millikan concept of electronegativity. Millikan gave his concept in 1934 following the Pauling scale. So he based his electronegativity value. He suggested that electronegativity is equal to the sum of ionization energy plus electron affinity divided by 2, for which units of energies are both are to be taken with positive sign, and units should be electron volt per atom. Then only these are the electronegativity values will come out to be correct if the units taken are electron volt per atom. Also, it was observed that Millikan, the electronegativity values given by Millikan were 2.8 times higher than the Pauling electronegativity. So we can say that electronegativity of Pauling is equal to En Millikan divided by 2.8. So numericals, these can be asked in different numericals, where you will have to calculate the Pauling electronegativity based upon the above equation which we have. If you are given the bond energies, then based upon that you will be asked to calculate the Millikan electronegativity, which is just 2.8 multiplied by electronegativity, which you will get from the for the Pauling scale. So Millikan also concept also had some disadvantages, that is electron affinity values are not known for many of the elements. These are known for very few elements. So there came the limitation for Millikan concept, that the values of electron affinity are known for many of the elements, and the values of electron affinity and ionization energy changes with change in the valence state of atom. This we have already seen, that with change in valency, electron affinity and ionization energy are changing. But So that will drastically affect our electronegativity. So this scale was, these were the disadvantages of Mulliken concept. Next concept were given by Allred and Rochus. Out of all these scales which we'll be discussing around 5 scales given for the measurement of electronegativity. Most acceptable so far is Pauling scale, and for which we have already memorized the values of some known common elements which are important from the point of view of competitive exams, and rest the method and the formula you will have to memorize for all the methods, that how, based upon what formula and what are the basis for the electronegativity scales given by these personalities. So next we have Allred and Rochus scale. So based upon Allred and Rochus based the electronegativity measurement upon based upon the electrostatic force of attraction between electron and nucleus. As we all know that electrostatic interaction between electron and the nucleus is given by this formula. Here Z star is effective nuclear charge and R is the covalent radii. So from here the values of force were obtained for different elements, and this value of force was plotted against the electronegativity values obtained by Pauling, that is given on the Pauling scale. So after that, when these were plotted against the electronegativity values given by Pauling, then this equation, which shows the variation of Z effective and R square R, was obtained from that graph where the variation of this force is shown against Pauling scale electronegativity values, and from here, based upon the values of Z star and R square which are known for different elements, we can calculate electronegativity of any unknown element. So this was the method used by Allred and Rochus, but this was totally based upon the Pauling concept. So the basis of this calculation was the Pauling scale. Knowing the values of Z star, from here Z star and R, the values of electronegativity were calculated for any unknown element. This method also had some disadvantages, that covalent radii of many elements were not known, or we can say are not known till now. Also, Slater's rule provide the empirical value of Z effective. We know just the empirical value of Z effective, so this can be misleading. So betterly acceptable. This was, we can say this method is betterly acceptable as no involvement of electron affinity and bond dissociation energy is there, but it has its own limitations, that is radii and effective nuclear charge. So every method which we are discussing here has one or two limitations, but electronegativity values from the Pauling scale are most acceptable out of these. Next scale was given by Sanderson. He related the electronegativity with the compactness of electron cloud around the nucleus, or we can say average electron density. So for the average electron density, which he represents with D, he gave the formula that it is equal to 3 into Z divided by 4 pi R square, where Z is the nuclear charge. He related the average electron density with the ideal situation where Di represents the electron density of hypothetical isoelectronic inert gaseous atom. If the element which we are talking about is a noble gas, or we can say is having the configuration of the noble gas, then that is the hypothetical situation for which density was represented with Di. So based upon that, stability ratio was calculated, which is represented by SR, which is equal to D divided by Di. Di is the density for this hypothetical case, and D is the density which can be calculated using this formula. So from here, this stability ratio was, this equation was obtained from where these are plotted against electronegativity, and electronegativity values were taken as same that of Pauling's, from where stability ratio can be obtained according to this equation. So based upon that, he generated this equation, and this equation, or we can say this method, was also based upon Pauling scale. Next method was given by Mulliken and Jaffe. This was an improvement in the Mulliken concept, wherein effect of hybridization was also counted on the values of ionization energy and electron affinity. As let me show you the Mulliken concept again. As Mulliken concept, according to Mulliken concept, electron activity was the average of ionization energy and electron affinity. So further, the effect of hybridization was also accounted. The formula and the methodology, the exact formulation for Mulliken and Jaffe scale is not in your syllabus as far as your syllabus is concerned. So just the 5 concepts we have discussed, and the last one is just an advancement to the earlier discussed one, that is a Mulliken concept. Next, we'll be predicting the chemical behavior of different compounds based upon the periodic properties we have discussed. First behavior which we are discussing is the ionic character. First thing which we are discussing is the ionic character. This has been directly related to the electron activity which we have just discussed. So ionic character, it can be known from the electron activity difference between the two bonded atoms in a covalent molecule. If we talk about some covalent molecule, that say we have HF or HCl, more the electron activity difference, more is going to be the ionic character of the bond, and more is going to be the bond strength. So more is the ionic character, more is going to be the bond strength, and more is going to be the electron activity difference. So according to Pauling, this was the formula given by Pauling for calculating the percent ionic character present in some covalent bond due to the electron activity difference prevalent in both the bonded atoms. The formula was 16 multiplied by mod of delta x, where delta x is the electron activity difference between the two bonded atoms. Here we are taking mod because the difference should always be positive, plus 3.5 into delta x square. So from here, if the value of delta x is 1.7, then the bond is 50% ionic and 50% covalent. So based upon that, if the value of delta x exceeds from 1.7, then ionic character increases, and if it is less than 1.7, then ionic character decreases. Then that means if ionic character is less than 50%, that bond is more covalent, is having more covalent character, and if ionic character is more than 50%, then that bond is having more ionic character. So based upon this, we can predict about some bond that it is having more ionic character or more covalent character. Let us discuss the case of hydrides of halogens, that is we can say hydrogen acids of halogens. These are the hydrogen acids of halogen for which we have written the ionic character. Here the ionic character is decreasing as we move down the group in case of halogens, as the halogens belong to the group 17. So as we are moving down this group, what is happening is we are talking about the hydrogen acids of these halides. That means the ionic character is decreasing. This we have observed. Now this decrease in ionic character is based upon the electron activity difference, which is decreasing as we move down the group in case of 17 group. As the halogens are the most electronactive elements in the respective period, so moving along the period from left to right in a period would increase the electron activity. Electron activity is increasing. So if we are talking about different compounds of the first period, elements present in first period, if say we are talking about the bond of some group 16 element and group 15 element with that of group 17, that is halides, then that means as we are moving from left to right, what we are experiencing is that electron activity difference is decreasing in comparison to the electron activity difference between the first group and the 17th group, as electron activity is increasing as we move from left to right in all the periods. So Electronegativisty difference is decreasing, thus covalent character is increasing, because electronegativisty difference is not much in case of, if we are talking about the compounds of group 15 and group 17 and group 16 and group 17, then that means they are more covalent in comparison to these compounds where one atom is belonging to group 1 and other is belonging to group 17. Also down the group, as is the case here, what is happening is the groups for halogens, the down the group for halogens, electronegativisty is decreasing. This way, you know that we are moving down the group, size is increasing, electronegativisty is decreasing. This leads to decrease in electronegativisty difference between hydrogen and the halogen as we move down the group. So that is why ionic character is decreasing and covalent character is increasing as we move down the group for hydrogen acids. Also, the ionic character and covalent character of compounds further decides about many properties like melting point and conductance. Say we are here discussing about the melting points and conductance for halides of aluminium. Here we are taking the halides of aluminium, that is aluminium fluoride, aluminium trihalides, that is aluminium fluoride, aluminium chloride, aluminium bromide and aluminium iodide. So from here we are moving down the group from fluorine to iodine. As we move down the group from fluorine to iodine, what is happening is electronegativisty difference between aluminium and the halide is decreasing. So based upon that, here electronegativisty difference is decreasing. That means covalent character is increasing and thus melting point is decreasing because bond strength is also decreasing. Same is the case with conductance. The first two compounds are very good conductor and the last two compounds are non-conductors. This is based upon covalent character is increasing as ionic compounds are good conductors in comparison to the covalent compounds. Also, if we talk about chlorides, of group period 2 and period 3, that is chlorides of lithium, now this group starting from lithium, this period starting from lithium to oxygen and then from sodium to sulfur. If we are talking about the chlorides, only the lithium and the sodium chloride are ionic, rest all the chlorides are covalent in nature due to decrease in electronegativisty difference as we move from left to right in a period. Electronegativisty difference between these elements is decreasing, so covalent character is increasing as we move from left to right. When we are talking about the compounds of, that means when we are talking about the halides of different elements which we are talking about. So this is about the ionic character. Next factors we'll be discussing in the next video. That is it for this video. I hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, you can always comment on the video or you can ask me whenever you feel like. So I would be I would be clearing out all your doubts. So that is it. Thank you so much and have a good rest of the day.